Hey everybody, I'm going to review the Tauchpanzer IV with Betriebsstoffanger, or fuel trailer. This came out in 2008 and is kit number 6402. This was pretty far into the line of Panzer IV kits since that new tooling of the E. There had been about 14 before it and many after it. But it is still within the sort of super kit line of the more complicated suspension and wheels. One thing I'll have you notice, even just from the box art, a difference from your standard E would be these Tauchpanzer exhausts. So the instructions have very little blue for a kit of this size. It's actually kind of impressive. Our first step is drive sprocket, return rollers, bomb stops, idlers. It looks like two different choices of idler here. They've got these sort of slide molded ones and then these parts with two halves. The suspension for this is the very complicated super kit suspension. So you've got multiple pieces for this so that it can move, the mounts themselves and the bottom bit of that, plus rubbers for both sides, each half of the wheel plus the hubs. It's actually quite a complicated thing, and you can pick these different ends for the bogies. So here we're just putting a few pieces on the back. The rear plate construction is relatively simple. It is different than I'm used to with these Tauchpanzer pipes, but it shouldn't be too complicated. Very similar stuff on that Tauchpanzer 3H I did. Nothing too complicated at all. This piece here on a smart kit, this would all be one piece, and it's in 4 pieces here. So if I show it to you, right there, it just becomes this shape here, and it's in 4 separate pieces. You just stack it. It's actually kind of strange that they have you do it in separate pieces, but it's pretty cool. Then these are about same as they always are, just 2 halves with a little bar through it. So putting the fuel filler caps on the lower hull. This is the type of kit with the actual inner workings of the final drive assembly in case you want to model it off for whatever reason. And these options for the armored cover. So here you have a single piece that you have to put rivets on, and here you have 2 halves that have rivets on them. Then this pedestal mount here is where the turret actually mounts into. Here we're mounting this armor onto here. This sort of protects the bogies. They're telling us to put bogies on. I would probably leave the wheels off, obviously, and then attaching the rear plate. Here's just the engine intakes and the smoke launcher assembly, which does have photo etched chains. So these are the vision ports for the front plates. Here we've got our jack block, our Vorpanzer style armor where we're putting extra plates on, and then we've got a cover for the bow MG. Here we're adding armor onto the side hull pieces. It looks like we got to remove some stuff from that piece, which would be kind of annoying, or at least drill some holes. Yep, we got to cut that off there. And down here we're just adding on the front and rear fenders to our fenders. Lastly, our driver and radio ops hatches go on. Here we're doing headlights. There's some photo etch for the engine intakes, kind of this part right down in here. So a no-tech light, all the tools going on the fenders. We do have the option for photo etched clasps, so this entire section is just telling us how to make those clasps for the tools. And then down here we have the top-down orthographic view of where these things should go. Now on the other side, again, just putting some small bits and the photo etch onto that section. Then all our tools, and there's some spare track layout on this side of the fenders. We've got the jack, we've got a headlight, and then again, clasps on the tools and our top view of the fender. So step 12 onto the turret, we have a very standard by now assembly for our cupola. One of the 2 versions of this Panzer III-4 turret bin where you actually have to add this extra stuff in there. I think later in versions they molded that in. Turret basket, we've got our elevation and traverse sort of mechanisms over here, our turret floor. So here we're putting together the gun. Right here, it does look like there's an odd 2-piece barrel, which I've seen Dragon use, where this section kind of fits in here, but the tip is rifled and is 1 piece, but whatever. The breech, here's our mantlet assembly. Kind of a lot of bits go into that. Then here we're doing the internal guard and basket and our coaxial MG. So here we have a DS piece that goes over the mantlet instead of the gun assembly, plus here we would have this cupola that would replace the one we had, which is basically just like a waterproof covered one. The rest of it though, we're assembling the turret, the bottom piece is going onto the top part, and all of our doors and little parts going onto the top piece of the turret. Here's the tow cable, the magic tracks, and them telling us how to put the turret to the hull and the lower hull. Here's the trailer finally, so parts I've actually never seen before. There we have like a leaf spring and some framing. Then here the assembly of our oil drums, and adding the wheels to it, and then just showing us how to hook it up to the back of our Panzer IV. Marking options are Panzer Regiment 25, 7th Panzer Division, Russia 41, and Panzer Regiment 6, 3rd Panzer, 1941. So being an older kit, we have this nice big dragging card. The tracks are going to be 38 centimeter Panzer III-4 tracks. They are a little bit smaller to work with than 40 centimeter, obviously, but we do have a hollow guide horn and the detail is very good. I'm not going to take the parts off of the dragging card as there are some pretty small parts and I don't want to lose them. But we have here some clear periscopes, slide molded idler wheels. This is a metal wire and a rubber piece of sort of hose for the fuel trailer. More clear parts. This is like a brass rod and a shovel, like PE bit. This is a photo etch sheet, one of a few. We have more periscopes and clear parts. Then we have PE for the idlers. There's our decal sheet. We also have separate rubber tires for the wheels and our larger PE sheet, parts for the jerry cans and the tool clasps. There's also this tiny PE sheet and some padlocks in styrene. The decals are pretty limited in what they have. We have 613 and then a couple of unit markings and Balkenkreuz. There's some DS in this kit as well. It's a replacement for the cupola and for the mantlet. So this would be like a covered mantlet for submersion. Got some nice detail in it. And then this is our cupola. Here you can see the sort of actual steel part that's still really crisp, even though it's DS. And then we have this nice kind of rubbery fabric texture around the outside. This sprue is our main hull part. So here we have the upper plate for the hull, the upper rear plate, the side plates, some spare wheels, and the engine deck. These plates are really well done. Very fine, very sharp details. Here you have the styrene option for where we have photo etch. Where the detail is molded in on the upper plate, it's very, very sharp. Also, because this came out 3 years after the initial tooling, the angle on this little splash guard is corrected. That plate's really nice too. Our hatches have detail on both sides. This sprue is our turret interior detail, so we can see the gun barrel, the breech, the hull floor. Here's the pedestal mount, the breech guard, the seats, the mantlet there. Lots of turret parts here. So there's the breech. Shell bag looks really nice. There's our mantlet. The barrel is kind of hollow in one piece here, but not here, but you don't ever see that. Another MG. There's the hull floor. Gun sleeves right there. Guards the barrel. Everything on here is very, very sharp. Then we have this sprue, which is our turret bottom and the stowage bin. As well, we have a jig for the magic tracks here. Very nice looking parts here. So this version of the stowage bin, you have to add some detail on the inside if you're going to have it open. These are really well done, very sharp. And then here's our teeth for the inside of the turret. Then we have two of this, which is our suspension sprue. Here we have the front and back of the wheels, many parts for the workable bogie assembly, and that's pretty much it on this sprue. So there's the wheels. They look about the same as the Smart Kit ones, obviously, except with the separate rubbers. So then they just snap on that way. There's the other side. The bogies are in very many pieces. So there's your leaf spring. These are the little ends that go on there. There are two choices for the types of them. There's one, and that's the other type. And then the actual movable parts are broken into these little things. And all of this on a Smart Kit would be in one piece. Then there's this sprue. This has the parts for the final drives and the armor for the bogies in the lower hull. These pieces are really well done. Very, very sharp, plus you have that interior detail in case you want to model this with the final drives off. That's what these gears here are for. They are difficult to clean up. As you can see, you've got a sprue gate right there. There's the armor for the bottom of the hull. Now I did have some problems placing this, but The last super kit I did was the second Dragon kit I ever made, so hopefully I would not make the mistake again. And then these are the armored covers for the final drives. Then we have this sprue, which is essentially just our kind of up armored plates and some of the hatches for the front. So this is the option of one piece for that armored piece, whereas, let's find it. This is the one that comes in halves. So this has the rivets on it. That was from the sprue I just looked at. And then this one you actually have to attach the rivets to it. And there's our plates. Very thin, very, very sharp. There's the rivets to actually add to that piece for the final drive cover. And these are the access hatches in the front plate. This sprue, although labeled as a just Panzer IV sprue, seems to have some Tauchpanzer specific stuff, like watertight seals and these particular exhaust pipes. And that's kind of what this thing is here as well, a seal. I'm not sure what some of these parts are actually. They look like variants for Tauchpanzer. So that's what the exhaust pipes look like on the back of a Tauchpanzer. They come up very small from underneath the rear plate, at least on Panzer III when I did one. On this they would come out of the mount for the standard large exhaust pipe. Everything on here looks really nice. Tauchpanzer III had one of these coming off of the air intakes as well. As well does the Stug D that was being restored from North Africa had something like this coming off the vent as well. So that's pretty sharp. So this goes around the bow MG, or is like a variant for the bow MG on a Tauchpanzer. That's what that is. Then these look like they would replace your standard kind of louvers for the air intakes. Then we have a can of basically just jerry cans. Detail is very good. There will be photo etch to go between them. So then you just have these two halves, this cap and this handle. And then two more. This sprue is a large Panzer IV sprue that you'll see in a lot of kits. Here we can see the fenders, the rear plate, the lower front plate, mud flaps, the standard exhaust, the hatches for the turret. Many important bits on this sprue. We'll start with the fenders. The no-slip texture is good on the top, and it is on the bottom as well. Right there. You can see that's like a rear flap. All the small parts look really well done. These are little springs that go on those flaps. These go in part of the towing system in the front. There's your bow MG. So these plates, very nicely done. There's your standard exhaust, which is slide molded. We won't use it on this, so you could have it as a spare. These hatches are very nice. You'll have a clear part that goes in there. There's the antenna. Everything on this is very well done. These Panzer IVs are always fun to build. Then we have this, which is just parts for our standard Panzer III or IV cupola. So there's the hatches. They have the little padding there. That's the top piece, very sharp. Then pretty much it consists of just putting these two together and then choosing your open or closed visors. Then this sprue is our vehicle tools and some little parts, like here's some headlights and our jack. So that's the blackout part of the headlights, and then here you can see that they actually have the conduit molded in to these lights, which is a very nice touch because it can be kind of a pain to recreate that style of conduit with brass wire or anything. There's your no-tech light, convoy lights right there. That's your jack. Very similar to the larger style jacks, at least the way the assembly goes. And then here we have bits for towing, different fire extinguishers, inertial starter cranks. These are our tools. So we've got some wrenches and the axe and shovel. The clasps don't have like the part to grab and open it, but I'm not sure if they had that type of clasp on Panzer IV. Then we have this sprue, which is all of the tools we just saw without any clasps on them for PE. Very nice. Then we have this little sprue, which is only the ends for a tow cable. The inside is drilled out, it doesn't have the slit cut in it, so you'll be able to jam a wire in there. Then we have our trailer sprue. So we have some oil drums and some other, looks like Tauchpanzer parts, like mantlet shaped things. The wheels and the fenders for the trailer itself, and then like another version of the cover for the bow MG. So there's a leaf spring. That looks pretty good. Here's a wheel, looks like they're done in halves. That looks alright. There's a little watertight cover for our MG. Not sure what that is, but clearly it has something to do with covering something up for deep weighting, because it has like a fabric-y quality around it. There's the other part of the wheel. And then this is another kind of watertight turret thing. Goes around the outside of the turret. There's the top of the drums. They have some writing, as does the bottom. There's the drum itself. Looks slide molded, so that's pretty cool. It's one piece. Then the actual trailer base itself looks like it has the framing and the fenders. It's well done. And we've just got some other little parts over here. I think that's what it hooks up to the Panzer with. Yeah, it seems really nice, all of the parts. So this is our hull. This is the same hull found in the early 2005 Super Kit toolings. So no armor here. You'll have to add all of the bogey stuff plus this part here. The later ones also had this front bit on a little farther out, so the hull extensions would have been on there as well. You don't have the choice to not have the up-armored plates on, as you can see that this is molded in. So, but it's very thin and very well made. There's our pedestal mount location. All the rivet detail and stuff is very, very sharp. This is our turret shell. I think they're still using this in current E-kits that they make. It's very nice. They're all very, very sharply made. Here's where you install the rain guard. A very nice piece. So that is the Tauchpanzer with the fuel trailer. It is kind of, I think again, one of these sort of underrated kits, because the quality of the tooling and the plastic that's in there is like top shelf. And I don't think many people would really look at it very seriously because it's kind of a strange looking variant. So this is the initial tooling of the Panzer IV that Dragon made, and you know, there's all the turret stuff built up. This is the exact same parts that'll be in here, and this was oddly like the second Dragon kit I ever built, but went together very, very well. So I was able to attain it very cheaply because it's sort of a strange variant. So I actually am really, really impressed with this.